The silver spacecraft descended through Earth's atmosphere with barely a sound. It was nothing like the noisy rockets humans built. This ship moved like water, smooth and quiet. Major Jack Harper watched from the military base as the alien vessel landed. His hand rested on his gun, though he knew it would do little good if these visitors had bad intentions. This was humanity's first official contact with aliens, and Jack didn't trust them one bit. "Try not to look so suspicious," said General Adams, standing beside him. "We're making history today." Jack nodded but kept his eyes fixed on the ship. "I'll feel better when we know what they want, sir." The ship's side opened, revealing 3 tall, slender figures. They had bluish skin that seemed to shimmer in the sunlight. Their 4 arms moved with grace as they stepped onto Earth for the first time. "I am Zarthal," the tallest alien said in perfect English. "We represent the Galactic Conclave, a union of 87 species. We have watched your world for some time." 2 hours later, Jack stood guard in the meeting room as world leaders spoke with the aliens. Lieutenant Susan Reed, his best intelligence officer, slipped quietly through the door and stood beside him. "You look troubled," Jack whispered. Susan handed him a tablet. "Our signals team intercepted this transmission from their ship. It's encrypted, but we managed to translate parts of it." Jack read the screen and frowned. The message mentioned containment protocols and assessment of threat potential. One line stood out: "Human adaptability exceeds safety parameters." "They're talking about us like we're a problem to solve," Susan said quietly. Jack looked across the room at Zarthal, who was explaining how Earth could join the Conclave as a protected species. The alien caught his gaze and tilted his head. Jack forced a smile. "Keep watching their communications," Jack told Susan. "I want to know what they're not telling us." Over the next week, the aliens shared amazing technology with Earth's scientists. They promised medical advances, clean energy, and faster-than-light travel. The world's leaders were excited. Most people welcomed the aliens with open arms. But Jack and Susan kept digging. Late one night, they met in a secure room with the president and her advisors. "They're lying to us," Susan said, showing them more intercepted messages. "The Conclave doesn't welcome new species. They control them." The president looked tired. "What evidence do you have?" Jack played a recording they had decoded. Alien voices discussed how humans showed dangerous levels of creativity and unpredictable problem-solving. "They fear us," Jack explained. "Not because we're violent, but because we think differently than they do." "What do you suggest we do?" the president asked. "Reject their offer. We can't fight the entire galaxy." "No," Jack said. "We accept their invitation. We smile and nod and take their technology. But we prepare in secret." Susan added, "They're watching us closely. They want to see if we're as dangerous as they think." The next day, Earth officially accepted membership in the Galactic Conclave. Zarthal seemed pleased as he shook hands with world leaders. "Your species has great potential," the alien told the president. "We will help guide your development." Jack watched from the side of the room. When Zarthal walked past him, the alien paused. "Your kind is quite fascinating, Major Harper," Zarthal said. "You imagine things that have never existed. You see patterns where there are none. It's a rare quality in the galaxy." "Thank you," Jack replied. "We're looking forward to learning from you." Zarthal's 4 eyes blinked slowly. "And we from you." As the alien walked away, Jack exchanged glances with Susan across the room. In that moment, they both understood the same thing. Humanity's greatest strength might be something they had always taken for granted: their ability to imagine, create, and adapt. And somehow, that scared the most powerful beings in the galaxy. 5 years passed since the aliens first landed on Earth. Humans now had 3 small colonies on nearby planets. The Conclave had kept its promise to share technology, but always with limits. Lily Martinez wiped sweat from her forehead as she worked inside the engine room of Earth's newest spaceship. As chief engineer, she had spent months studying the alien tech that powered the vessel. "Find anything interesting?" asked Captain Alan White as he entered the room. Lily pointed to a small silver box attached to the main power core. "This isn't in any of the blueprints they gave us. I found similar devices in every piece of Conclave technology." Alan frowned. "What does it do?" "It watches us," Lily said simply. "Records how we use their tech, what changes we make. Maybe even controls what we can do with it." Alan wasn't surprised. In the 5 years since Earth joined the Conclave, he had been quietly gathering information. As head of the Earth Defense Force's Intelligence Division, he had access to reports from all human colonies. "Come with me," he said to Lily. "There's something you need to see." They walked to his office, a small room with no windows. Alan locked the door and activated a signal jammer. "The Velrathi aren't the friendly guides they pretend to be," he said, showing Lily his computer screen. 3 other young species joined the Conclave in the last century. All 3 eventually rebelled against Conclave restrictions. All 3 are now extinct. Lily studied the data. "They're afraid of us." "Yes, and they should be," Alan smiled. "Because while they've been watching us, we've been learning from them." He took Lily to a hidden lab deep beneath the base. Inside, scientists worked on equipment that looked similar to Conclave tech, but with clear differences. "We've been reverse engineering everything they give us," Alan explained. "But we're not just copying. We're improving." Dr. Greg Nelson, the lead scientist, showed them a small device. "This can block their monitoring systems. They think we're following their rules, while we develop our own technology in secret." Lily picked up the device. "This is why Zarthal has been visiting more often. They suspect something." Alan nodded. "Last month, they denied our request to establish a 4th colony. They said it was for safety reasons." "What are we going to do?" Lily asked. "Have you heard of the Prometheus Protocol?" Alan asked quietly. Lily shook her head. "It's a classified project. The world's government started it the day after first contact. I think it's time you were brought in." 2 days later, Lily sat in a secure meeting room with Alan, Jack Harper, now a colonel, Susan Reed, and several scientists and military leaders. "The Velrathi believe they're guiding our development," Jack explained. "But they're actually studying us, trying to understand what makes humans different." Susan added, "They're especially interested in our creativity, our ability to imagine new solutions." "Which brings us to the Prometheus Protocol," said President Kellerman. "We need a way to defend ourselves if the Conclave decides we're too dangerous to exist." Dr. Nelson stood up. "We've been developing weapons and shields, but that's not enough. The Conclave has technology thousands of years beyond ours." "Then what's our plan?" Lily asked. Jack smiled. "We use what they fear most about us, our minds." He showed them images of brain scans. "Humans can imagine things that have never existed. We can hold contradictory ideas simultaneously. We can make mental leaps that the aliens find impossible to predict." "The Prometheus Protocol isn't a weapon in the traditional sense," Susan explained. "It's a way to use human creativity as our defense." As they talked, an alarm suddenly sounded. A message appeared on the main screen. Conclave ships were approaching Earth in formation. "They're earlier than we expected," Jack said grimly. "Is the protocol ready?" the president asked. Dr. Nelson shook his head. "Not yet. We need more time." Lily looked at the designs on the table. She had an idea. "Maybe we can buy that time," she said. "I know how their ships work. I know how their monitoring systems work." All eyes turned to her as she began to explain her plan. Lily's plan worked better than anyone expected. By adjusting the monitoring devices on Earth's ships, she created a false data stream that convinced the Conclave vessels that humans were simply testing new navigation systems. The alien ships left after 2 days of observation. "We bought ourselves some time," Jack told the Emergency Council. "But not much." Dr. Frank Howell, A quiet man with glasses who rarely spoke at meetings cleared his throat. "I think I've found something important." All eyes turned to the neurobiologist. "For 3 years, I've been studying brain patterns of humans and the limited data we have on conclave species," Frank explained. He showed them brain scans on the large screen. "Look at these patterns when subjects are asked to imagine something new." The alien brain scans showed simple, predictable patterns. The human scans were chaotic, with activity all across the brain. "They can't think like we do," Frank said simply. "Aliens can improve existing ideas step by step, but they can't make creative leaps. They can't imagine what doesn't exist yet." Susan leaned forward. "Is that why they fear us? Because we can imagine new weapons they haven't thought of." "It's more than weapons," Frank replied. "It's our unpredictability. We can hold contradictory ideas at the same time. We can change our minds based on emotions. We can tell lies and stories." Lily suddenly understood. That's why they monitor our use of their technology so closely. They're afraid of what we might do with it that they haven't thought of. Ellen nodded. "And why they restrict our expansion. Each new colony is a place where humans might develop in ways they can't predict." Meanwhile, Lieutenant Commander Maya Garcia and her small team had been on a secret mission. Their ship, disguised with conclave technology, had been hiding near a major alien communication hub. Maya sent an encrypted message to Earth. "Mission successful, returning with critical intelligence." 3 days later, Maya's ship landed at the hidden base. She looked tired but triumphant as she walked into the council room. "We intercepted thousands of conclave messages," she reported. "Most were routine, but we found discussions about humanity in their highest-level communications." She played a recording. The alien voices spoke about humans as a containment problem and debated the acceptable risk level of allowing human expansion. One voice, which they recognize as belonging to a high-ranking conclave leader, said, "Their cognitive architecture enables them to bypass logical progression. They imagine outcomes without understanding the steps. This makes them dangerous in ways we cannot calculate." Another voice replied, "The containment protocols are failing. They modify our technology in ways we did not anticipate. Recommend immediate restriction of all human colonies." The room was silent when the recording ended. "Now we know why the Prometheus Protocol is so important," President Kellerman said quietly. "Our imagination is our weapon." Dr. Nelson showed them the latest designs. "We've created systems that blend human creativity with advanced technology. The systems learn from human operators, but execute functions faster than any alien algorithm can predict." "How does it work in practice?" asked Jack. "A human thinks of a new approach, something no alien would consider, and the system instantly implements it," Dr. Nelson explained. "To the Conclave, our ships will seem to behave in impossible ways." Maya showed them more data from her mission. "The Conclave is planning something big. They're gathering a fleet near the edge of our solar system." "Are they planning to attack?" Lily asked. "Worse," Maya replied. "They're planning to make us an example. I found references to something called species containment protocols that they've used before." Jack's face hardened. "They want to push us back to Earth and lock us here forever." "Then we need to accelerate the Prometheus Protocol," the president said firmly. "How soon can we deploy it?" Dr. Nelson looked at Frank, then at Lily. "With their help, maybe 2 weeks. The Conclave fleet will be here in 10 days, Maya said. Everyone in the room exchanged nervous glances. "Then we have work to do," Lily said, already thinking of new ideas. As Earth prepared for the coming Conclave fleet, Ambassador George Bennett and his team traveled to meet with alien leaders. The president had sent them on a diplomatic mission to buy more time. The Conclave headquarters was a massive space station that orbited a red giant star. George had visited twice before, but he never got used to the strange mix of alien species that filled its halls. "Remember," George told his team as they docked, "our job is to seem cooperative. Agree to their terms while we stall for time." Zarthal greeted them with his 4 arms held wide. "Ambassador Bennett, we are pleased you came so quickly. The people of Earth value our relationship with the Conclave," George replied with a practiced smile. They followed Zarthal to a large meeting chamber where representatives from 12 alien species waited. The atmosphere felt tense. "We have concerns about human activities," Zarthal began. "Your colonies are developing technology outside our guidance parameters." George kept his expression neutral. "We're eager to address any concerns." An alien with green scales spoke next. "Your species shows dangerous patterns of independent thought. This cannot continue." For 3 hours, the aliens listed their demands. Earth must remove all modifications to Conclave technology, limit space travel to approved routes, and accept permanent alien observers in all human settlements. George nodded politely through it all. "These are significant changes. I'll need to consult with my government." "That will not be necessary," Zarthal said coldly. The doors to the chamber closed and locked. "You will remain here until Earth accepts our terms." Back on Earth, the news of the ambassador's detention reached the Emergency Council. "It's a trap," Jack said. "They're holding George and his team hostage while their fleet moves into position." The president looked grim. "How much longer until the Prometheus Protocol is ready?" "We need 4 more days," Lily answered. She had been working without sleep, helping to integrate human thought patterns into the defense systems. Colonel Samantha Kelly, head of Special Operations, stepped forward. "Let me take a team to extract the ambassador. It might buy us those days." The president hesitated. "It's extremely risky. If you're caught, the Conclave will see it as proof that humans are dangerous." "They already think that," Samantha pointed out. And they're right. 2 days later, Samantha's team approached the Conclave station in a small ship disguised as a supply vessel. Through careful study of alien communication patterns, they had created perfect forged clearances. "Supply ship KX 425, requesting docking for routine delivery," Samantha transmitted. The station granted permission. Once aboard, Samantha's team moved quickly through service corridors, using special devices created by Dr. Nelson to avoid detection. They found George and his team in a secured area, guarded by 2 alien security officers. Samantha's team quietly neutralized the guards with stun weapons and freed the prisoners. "Perfect timing," George whispered as they moved toward the ship. "They were about to force me to send a message to Earth accepting their terms." They had almost reached their ship when alarms sounded throughout the station. A voice announced, "Human intruders detected. All security units respond." "Run," Samantha ordered. They raced to the ship and managed to launch just as alien security forces reached the docking bay. Several Conclave vessels pursued them, but Samantha's pilot used evasive maneuvers no alien could predict. Back on Earth, Jack received news of the successful rescue. "They made it out," he told the others, "but the Conclave will see this as an act of aggression." Lily looked up from her work. "The Prometheus Protocol is nearly ready. We've integrated it into 20 ships so far." On the main screen, they watched as the Conclave fleet entered the outer solar system, over 100 alien vessels moving toward Earth. "They know we've been developing technology in secret," Maya said. "They're coming to shut us down permanently." The president stood. "Send word to all our ships and colonies. Prepare for defensive action." She turned to Dr. Nelson and Lily. "Is the protocol ready to test?" "Yes," Lily answered. "But we haven't had time for full system checks." "It will have to be enough," the president said. "Humanity is about to face its greatest challenge." Outside Earth's atmosphere, the human defense fleet took position. The first test of humanity's secret weapon was about to begin. The Conclave fleet moved steadily toward Earth. Their ships formed a perfect attack pattern, each vessel knowing its exact place. To alien eyes, the small human fleet looked weak and disorganized. "They're entering weapon range," reported the officer on Earth's main defense station. Admiral Steve Harris nodded. He commanded Earth's 36 ships, which seemed pitiful against the 100-plus alien vessels. All ships, hold position. On the bridge of his flagship, Captain Edward Grant watched the enemy approach. His ship, the Defiant, was one of the 20 vessels equipped with the Prometheus protocol. Inside a special room behind the bridge, 5 men and women sat with strange helmets on their heads. "Protocol team ready?" Edward asked through the intercom. "Ready, Captain," answered the team leader. "Neural links active." On Earth, President Kellerman spoke to all ships. "The Conclave believes they know exactly what we'll do. They expect us to either surrender or follow standard defense tactics. They've calculated every logical move we could make." She paused. "But that's not how humans think. Activate Prometheus protocol." Edward gave the order. "Protocol team, engage." The 5 crew members with neural helmets closed their eyes. They weren't pilots or weapons officers. They were artists, musicians, chess players, and fiction writers. People with highly creative minds. The Prometheus system connected their creative thinking directly to the ship's computers. The computers instantly translated their unpredictable human thoughts into actions. The alien commander's voice came through on all channels. "Attention Earth vessels. You will power down your ships and prepare to be boarded. Resistance is pointless." Admiral Harris responded, "We respectfully decline." Then he gave the order all ships had been waiting for. "Release tactical control. Think freely." What happened next stunned the Conclave fleet. The human ships suddenly moved in ways that defied logical patterns. The Defiant spiraled in an impossible corkscrew while firing precisely at 5 targets. Other Earth ships performed equally unpredictable maneuvers. In the neural control room, a poet imagined her ship dancing between stars. A painter visualized bursts of energy like splashes of color across a canvas. A chess master considered 17 moves ahead, including sacrifices no computer would choose. The alien ships, programmed with perfect logical battle patterns, couldn't adapt to the chaos. Their predictive algorithms failed as humans made choices no logical being would consider. "This is impossible," the alien commander transmitted. "Their movements follow no tactical pattern." On the Defiant's bridge, Edward watched as his ship performed a maneuver that should have torn it apart. But the Prometheus system had found a way to make it work, inspired by a musician's thoughts about rhythm and counterpoint. 3 Conclave ships exploded as they collided trying to track the Defiant's path. Others fired weapons that missed completely as Earth ships moved in ways no algorithm could predict. "Half their fleet is in disarray," Admiral Harris reported to Earth. "They've never seen anything like this." In the command center, Lily watched the battle with Jack and Maya. "It's working even better than we hoped," she said. Jack nodded. "Humanity's secret weapon isn't our technology. It's our minds." After 20 minutes of battle, the remaining Conclave ships began to retreat. They had lost 27 vessels without destroying the single human ship. "They're pulling back to regroup," Admiral Harris announced. "But they'll return with new tactics." On the main Conclave ship, Zarthal watched the retreat with shock. "How did they do this? It violates all combat logic." "We intercepted strange energy patterns from their ships," an aide reported. "Their crew members are somehow feeding thought patterns directly into their control systems." Zarthal's 4 eyes widened. They weaponized their imagination. He sent an urgent message to the Conclave leadership. "Humans have developed a chaos weapon that defies prediction. Request immediate authorization for final containment protocol." The reply came quickly. Authorization granted. The human threat must be eliminated before it spreads. Back on Earth, celebration was cut short when Maya decoded a new transmission from the retreating fleet. "They're calling for reinforcements," she said grimly. "And they're activating something called the Solar Cleanse Protocol." "What is that?" the president asked. Jack's face went pale as he read the decoded specifications. "It's a weapon designed to sterilize our entire solar system." News about the Solar Cleanse Protocol spread quickly through Earth's defense network. Scientists studied the intercepted data and confirmed the worst. The Conclave planned to use a weapon that would destroy all life in the solar system. "How much time do we have?" the president asked during the emergency meeting. 3 days, Maya answered. They need to bring the weapon from their main fleet. Major William Foster, head of intelligence, showed them new information. "We've been contacted by representatives from 7 species within the Conclave. They don't agree with the decision to destroy us." "Can they help?" Jack asked. William shook his head. "Not directly. They're closely watched. But they've sent us technical data about the weapon." Lily studied the data with Dr. Nelson. "It's designed to trigger a chain reaction in our sun," she explained. "It would cause massive solar flares that would strip away Earth's atmosphere." "Can we stop it?" the president asked. "Maybe," Lily said, "but we need more information about how it works." Dr. Olivia Wright, a physicist who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "I think I understand why they fear us so much." She showed them her analysis of Conclave technology. Their entire civilization is built on logical progression. Each new technology builds directly on previous ones in predictable ways. And humans don't work that way. Frank added, "We make intuitive leaps. We connect unrelated ideas." Jack looked thoughtful. "Maybe that's how we beat them. Not with better weapons, but with better ideas." The next day, as Earth prepared for the final battle, a message came from a small Conclave ship requesting permission to approach. Scans showed only one passenger, Zarthal. Under heavy guard, the alien was brought to meet with Earth's leaders. "You surprised us," Zarthal said, his 4 arms held in a posture of respect. "No species has ever used thought patterns as a weapon before." "It's not a weapon," Olivia told him. "It's just how we think." Zarthal's eyes blinked slowly. "That is what terrifies the Conclave leadership. Your minds work in ways we cannot predict or control." "Is that why you want to destroy us?" the president asked. "The leadership believes humans would eventually overwhelm the Conclave," Zarthal explained. "Your creativity and adaptability spread faster than we can contain it. Already, 7 species have expressed interest in human thought methods." Jack leaned forward. "Is that why you're here? To warn us?" "I am here because I disagree with the decision," Zarthal said. "I have studied humans for 5 years. Yes, you are dangerous and unpredictable. But you are also capable of beauty and innovation that the Conclave has not seen in 10,000 years." He placed a small device on the table. "This contains the exact specifications of the solar cleanse weapon. It will arrive tomorrow with a fleet 3 times larger than before." The room was silent as everyone processed this information. "Why are you helping us?" Lily finally asked. Zarthal made a gesture they had never seen before. "Because you showed me something new. In 5 years studying humans, I learned to appreciate art. I heard music that made me feel emotions I cannot name. I read stories about things that never happened." His voice softened. "The Conclave fears change. For millennia, we have controlled the development of new species to ensure stability. But stability has become stagnation. What will happen to you for helping us?" the president asked. "I will be removed from my position, at minimum," Zarthal replied calmly. After the alien left, Earth's leaders studied the information he had provided. "We can use this," Lily said, already formulating ideas. "The weapon has weaknesses we can exploit. But we're still outnumbered," Admiral Harris pointed out. 300 ships against our 36. "Then we need to show them something they've never seen before," Jack said. "Something so unexpected that it changes everything." The president nodded slowly. "Gather every creative mind we have. Artists, writers, musicians, dreamers. If human imagination is what they fear, then human imagination is what we'll use." As night fell, ships from all human colonies arrived to join the defense. Earth's final stand would begin at dawn. Dawn broke over Earth as the massive conclave fleet appeared at the edge of the solar system. 300 alien ships moved in perfect formation toward the small human fleet led by Admiral Peter Clark. Earth had managed to gather 52 ships for this final battle. "All ships report ready," said Peter's second-in-command. "Prometheus protocol active on all vessels." Peter nodded. "Open a channel to all ships, human and alien." When the channel opened, Peter spoke calmly. "This is Admiral Peter Clark of Earth. We know why you've come. We know about the solar cleanse weapon. But before this battle begins, we have something to share with you." He nodded to his communications officer, who pressed a button. Instantly, all ships in both fleets received the same transmission. It wasn't a threat or a weapon. It was art. Paintings from Earth's greatest artists flowed across screens. Music from Bach to modern composers played through speakers. Poetry and stories from around the world scrolled through data feeds. And mixed with these artistic treasures were scientific breakthroughs, mathematical theories, and philosophical ideas the humans had developed through their unique way of thinking. The alien fleet slowed its approach. "Second wave," Peter ordered. The next transmission contained children's drawings, amateur music, and simple stories. It showed the creative spirit that existed in all humans, not just the masters. "They're confused," reported the sensor officer. "Their formation is breaking up." In the conclave command ship, the alien leader stared at the images flooding his screens. "What is this attack?" "Scan for hidden codes or weapons." "There are none," his officer replied. "They are simply sharing ideas." "Block the transmission," the leader ordered. "I cannot," the officer admitted. "Crew members are actively receiving it on personal devices. They are interested." Back on Earth, Dr. Olivia Wright spoke directly to the conclave leadership. "Our superweapon is simply being human," she explained. "You fear our creativity because you don't understand it. But it doesn't have to be a threat. It can be a gift." Across the alien fleet, something unexpected happened. Crew members began discussing the human transmission. Species that had lived under conclave control for centuries were suddenly asking questions. Why had they never seen such things? Why had the conclave restricted creative expression? On a dozen worlds throughout conclave space, the same questions arose as the transmission spread. Beings who had lived in logical, controlled societies caught their first glimpse of what unbounded imagination could create. The leader of the conclave gripped his control panel. "Prepare the solar cleanse weapon. We must end this now before it spreads further." But when the order went out, many ships did not respond. "Sir," his officer reported, 17 ships are refusing the command. Their captains say they wish to learn more from the humans." "Traitors," the leader hissed. "Launch the weapon now." The weapon ship moved forward, but it was met by 5 conclave vessels that blocked its path. "Sir, we're receiving messages from 23 member species. They're demanding we open dialogue with humans instead of destroying them." As the standoff continued, Captain Nickel Brown led a small team of human ships toward the weapon vessel. Using the Prometheus protocol, they performed maneuvers no alien could predict, slipping past the remaining loyal conclave ships. Nickel's team disabled the solar cleanse weapon with precise strikes based on the information Zarthal had provided. 3 hours later, the conclave leadership agreed to talk. The massive fleet hung in space as representatives from both sides met on a neutral vessel. "Your ideas are dangerous," the conclave leader told the human delegation. "They will change everything." "Change doesn't have to be feared," Nickel replied. "It can bring new life to stagnant systems." 1 month later, a new agreement was reached. Humanity would share their creative methods with any species that wanted to learn. In return, the conclave would recognize Earth's independence and end restrictions on human development. In a classroom on the main conclave homeworld, Captain Nickel Brown stood before 20 alien students from different species. "Today we'll do something your people haven't done for thousands of years," she said with a smile. "We're going to make up a story together. a story that has never existed before. As the aliens looked at her with a mixture of fear and excitement, Nickel knew that humanity's greatest weapon had become the galaxy's greatest gift: the power to imagine.